So, NASB 2, huh? It's a game I've objectively and pretty unashamedly talked about a lot on this channel. So yeah, why do I feel the need to talk about it again? Well, first I wanted to pick up where I left off a few months ago, since I feel like my video on the status of the game post DLC has become outdated. And who better to start with than... Initially I didn't talk about Iroh too much because he had literally come out the day before. It's generally unwise to talk about a character's metagame when the character is like a day old. Thankfully his meta has evolved since then, and it turns out he was pretty broken. You see, Iroh wasn't originally planned for August 2024, moreover being intended for late October. But either Gamel or Nick decided to push the devs to just release him early and finish out the DLC wave. A decision which, initially, had some pretty catastrophic effects on the competitive community. For example, Iroh's side special, a long-range flame breath type move, was initially supposed to be active around frame 40. It was active on frame 1. Stuff like this and other problems compounded by his unfinished state made Iroh an incredibly toxic character to both fight and play, and as a result there were discussions to have the character banned until a patch came out that finished him. But thankfully, said patch came, Iroh had his frame data finished, and he became a more respectable mid-tier character instead. So thankfully he got a happy ending. And speaking of tier placements, let's talk about them. So for a brief moment in my initial video I bring up this tier list, and yeah, this is really inaccurate now. The meta continues to be ever evolving and changing, and nobody has one identical tier list to each other. For example, remember that patch I mentioned earlier that fixed up Iroh? Yeah, so I also basically fixed up everyone and was the biggest patch the game has ever gotten. And since this patch is not even a year old yet, the meta is still far from figured out, and there are constant arguments and discussions over who's right and who's wrong. Thankfully, thanks to yours truly, we do have a community tier list to look at from a few months ago. This was polled using all of the power ranked players from Season 4 of NASB 2 rank. And you can actually view it online right here. But while this tier list is still far more accurate than those before it, some blind spots have still been created since this tier list was conceptualized. So let me go over some things that have changed since February. First of all, the best character in the game is widely considered to be either Danny Phantom or the Angry Beavers, with Danny usually having the slight edge. Danny is a highly oppressive character who just kinda has every tool in the book, with his only significant weaknesses to speak of being his weight and his really high skill curve. While Beavers tend to have a similar weakness in the weight department, they are a far more consistent character at top level, mostly owing to their easier barrier of entry. In fact, this barrier of entry has been kind of controversial within the community for about a month now, mostly owing to Norbert, the yellow beaver. While the beavers are by no means unbeatable and you can definitely take them out if you have the skill, Norbert is often criticized for being very unfun to fight due to his highly oppressive forward air disjoint that leads into very easy bait combos on any character at any percent. And both of the beavers' frame data makes it extremely difficult to challenge them in neutral, and once the train starts, it never stops. Which I mean is good for me because I made them. It got to the point where community member Top Hat Matt made an entire beaver direct talking about them and their place in the meta. Unfortunately, he also spent the first 10 minutes talking about stuff that wasn't the beavers, so I don't remember most of what he was talking about. Sorry, Matt. Aang also moved up from like top 5 to top 3, but I really don't want to talk about Aang, he's kinda boring, so let's talk about someone more fun. So a good thing that patch 1.13 did was give a lot of healthy nerfs to a lot of oppressive or toxic characters in the last patch. One such character was Squidward. Squidward's side special is intended to function kind of like Game & Watch Judge. It's an RNG move with one weak hit, one middling hit, and one extremely strong hit. Unfortunately, in the earlier patch, the weak hits were far less weak, and were even combo tools. In essence, it didn't matter when or how Squidward rolled the dice. If he got the hit, he couldn't stop winning. Thankfully, the latest patch significantly reworked this move, with the weakest hit effectively now being a dud, doing no combo potential whatsoever. The reason I bring this up is because in spite of this change, Squidward was still considered a top 5 character in February due to his extremely oppressive punish game. However, as time has passed, Squidward's weaknesses have become much more apparent, such as a weak neutral game and tending to run hot and cold in most sets. And with the best Squidward Connor J dropping him for Nigel and Aang, Squidward has fallen off significantly in recent times, now being considered to be more in the top 15 area. On the other side of the spectrum, Garfield is considered to be a bottom 3 character in the February tier list, something that all the top players saw after inputting their responses and realized, wait, that's not right, who the fuck says Garfield's bottom 3? So the community decided to reassess and go on a hunt to prove that Garfield is not in fact bottom 3, which started kind of a mini Garfield renaissance. This was headlined mostly by player Keiki, who's well known for conserving Garfield's Sugar Rush mechanic to deadly results. While Sugar Rush was initially seen as a negative due to the fact that it also makes Garfield the lightest character in the game when hit, both Keiki and player Connor J, who I talked about before, have proven that it's more of a high-risk, high-reward mechanic. So thanks to their efforts, Garfield has risen significantly in perception in the community, now being considered more of a mid-tier character than anything. I could go on about the current low tiers or how Thunder's Reign's dominance has made the community question character skill versus player skill, but really, why does that all matter if the game is dead? Because it's not that stupid. It's no secret that not many people play Nick Brawl 2 anymore. On Steam, the charts have been historically low since Crabs, and on Ranked you'll probably just find little Timmies from Xbox Game Pass who don't put up much of a fight. Another thing that has steered away a lot of people in the past is that if you want to buy the game officially and it's not on sale, it's a whopping $50. So why? Why do I continue to support this overpriced SpongeBob Shovelware Super Smash Bros. Clone when there are other subjectively better games out there that I continue to support as well? Games that have even supported me back. Cause it's fun. Nick Brawl 2 is a Discord fighter, there's no doubt about it. There were some arguments in my comments over what a Discord fighter meant last time I made a Nick Brawl video. But in essence, it's when a game's online matchmaking system is so barely populated that you have to resort to Discord to get proper matches. But despite the game's Discord fighter status, I don't think it'll ever truly be dead. While the day-by-day tends to be quiet, every now and then the game gets its flowers. You may have noticed this tournament is called MVS Refugee Rumble. This is because it was a special event where only former Multiversus players could enter and play the game. Rest in peace to that game. Dutchman's Dungeon, the $100 Tuesday weekly, also maintains 20 to 30 players each time, with Cherry, the head organizer, aiming to increase that number every week. And I just gotta express how cool it is that a game as small as this still has an official sponsor behind it. Thank you, Trolley. I think the coolest thing about Nick Brawl 2 though is despite how small it is, and despite that it has to compete for my attention with other games, there's really nothing like it. I haven't talked about slime at all in this video or how cool of a mechanic that is, but the best of the best have optimized slime to an insane degree, resulting in a game that's both extremely explosive and extremely hype at top level. And the best part is that this isn't even close to the end. Every week at least someone is aiming to prove something about the game that nobody believes in, be it their own skill or even a character's viability. And that's really it, isn't it? The game may never materially change after this point. I truly don't think we're going to get another patch for this game. But while they did a great job with this game, I truly don't think the devs were the blood that kept the NASB heart pumping. It's always been the community. The community has always been there for the game, coming to offline events and supporting the game monetarily, and their effort cannot be understated. There's really no official way to ban stages in a tournament setting in-game, so we just got our modding guy Marker Van to just put it in the game? That's insane dedication. There are plenty of other awesome platform fighters out there that I enjoy playing, some of which may be more infinitely popular than NASB ever will be. But in spite of that, I will always offer NASB 2 a seat at the lunch table. If not for being a great game, then just for the sheer dedication and persistence the community has on keeping it alive, despite the mainstream continuing to insist it's well past its expiration date. So until there's nobody left in the community, or they bait you into buying a third one with Timmy Turner, may NASB 2 live on forever. Until then, I'm Dilly, and thank you for watching.